Such a massive day of racing as well this weekend out of Rose Hill and Golden Slipper Day, Rose Hill Guineas Day, and yeah, what a program of racing that we've got ahead of us as well. And we're blessed enough to be joined by Annabel Neasham, of course, training so well at the moment out of Sydney and with a big team. And Annabel, thanks for joining us here on TAB Trackside. First of all, a team for one of the big days of the year. How much are you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, looking forward to it a lot. Probably going to have to go and buy a new brolly. The forecast looks horrendous. But look, I think most of my runners this weekend like the rain, so there's not much we can do about it. And yeah, it's normally a great day despite it being a washout. There's normally still a good crowd there and a great atmosphere. Yeah,
absolutely. How much of an impact could that rain and that wet weather have on the meeting? Is there a chance, for instance, that they might have to look at alternate dates?
Well, there's been a little bit of talk about that. I don't know if it's speculation or not. It's hard to know, I suppose. But they have got the weather wrong the last couple of weeks, and we sort of haven't. We had been forecast quite a lot of rain last week, and it never came. So look, it is still pretty damp. But if as some people are saying, we're due 100 mils on the day, which
wow.
Would probably make it fairly dangerous, sort of visibility-wise. But I suspect a big day like that is obviously a lot of turnover on a day with 5 Group 1s on the card. So I suspect they'll be at least planning to go ahead. And I don't know what they'll do if it's too wet. I suppose they try and run it a few days later.
Absolutely. The first race we want to focus on with the Annabel is the Rose Hill Guineas, of course, at Group 1 level. And you've got one that has a little bit of a bearing around New Zealand as well. Bred at Waikato Stud, 3-year-old son of Savabeel, and named Moun'ga, of course, after the All Black first 5/8 and Richie Moun'ga. And I see there's an Moun'ga in the share. Can you just explain about that? Is he a shareholder himself?
I think he's got a small share in the horse. Which was organised. I think he might have found out there was a horse named after him, and I believe all of the prize money for his share goes towards charity. So that's quite a nice touch. And
yeah.
Shane McGrath, who manages, he's the racing manager for Aquis. I know he was on the phone to him just before the Randwick Guineas, so I had a quick word with him. I don't know how into it he is, but he certainly was. He certainly was watching the Randwick Guineas, and hopefully he'll be taking a close eye on the Rose Hill Guineas as well. It's obviously a pretty busy time of year for him, but it's pretty cool to have him involved.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the downtime, a lot of that's spent watching races with some of those rugby guys. The 2 runs back have both been fantastic. The third in the CS Hayes, and then the last start second in the Randwick Guineas, when you've only narrowly been beaten by Lion's Roar. How's the horse progressed out of that? Yeah,
extremely well. Obviously, I worked backwards from this race. This was always going to be his grand final. Hopefully he'll keep racing on for another few starts after this campaign. But this is the race I really wanted him peaking for. So I think he's taken a lot of natural improvement out of that race. He was obviously fairly luckless, but look, that's racing for you. I was delighted with the way he ran and even happy with the way he's pulled up. So he actually just had a little slide up a furlong on the grass this morning. It's pretty wet out there, but his regular rider was happy that he handled it.
Absolutely. I see he's won on the heavy track before, but then you've drawn barrier 2. There's ups and downs among his form lines, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. He won on a heavy 10 in his first start as a 2-year-old up in on the Gold Coast. So that gives us some sort of confidence. I suppose the only thing is, knowing the ability the horse has got now, you'd think he'd probably win a 2-year-old race at the Gold Coast even if he didn't handle it. But I've watched the replay a couple of times and he looks good on it. Just he's been on a firm deck all the rest of the time, but all the Kiwis keep telling me Sababeel's out of her Riley mares love the wet, so I'm hoping they're right.
Yeah, absolutely. How confident are you with him that he's going to run really well for you this weekend?
I'm confident he's going to run really well. Look, all these Group 1s, you need a lot of luck, and you've got to be respectful of your opponents. There's a couple of really good horses there. Obviously Lion's Roar's there as well. So, and Montefilia, who's a really good filly. But I wouldn't swap him for anything in the race. I think he's flying. Barrier 2, some are saying a negative. He tapped 2 last start as well. But if it is wet, they tend to sort of roll off the fence anyway around the bend. So I think as long as he can get cleaner cleaner room than he had last start, then hopefully he's still powering late.
Okay, let's move you on to the slipper, the following race. And you've got Queen of Wizardry, who goes into this race, the 2-year-old filly who was very good in winning, going back a couple of starts into that Eagle Farm race at the beginning of January. We haven't seen the horse since the Magic Millions 2-year-old Classic when running fourth. First of all, how did you assess that run?
I thought it was a very good run. She's a filly that's always surprised us. She works okay at home, but she never works like a filly you think is going to go close enough in a Magic Millions. She's certainly a race day horse. But when you look at the replay of that race, she's just always doing her best work late. She was in front of the rest of the field, sort of 50 yards after the post. So we ended up just targeting we're going to target the Champagne with her. I think the mile will be right up her alley. She's going to be better again next year, but we've worked backwards from that, so she'll go to the Sires next start. So this is her first up run. It's a lot of horses grand final, the slipper, but I just thought it's probably going to be better over further. So we'll use this run, and when it's wet like this, she's bred to swim, and she's the one going there on fresh legs. So but she's a big price. But in this sort of ground, anything can happen, and I couldn't be happier with the horse.
In an ideal world, would you have preferred a lead up? I see you've been to the trials since Magic Millions. Are you happy you're fit enough to compete, especially if it is a testing track?
Well, she was meant to run in the Magic Night last Saturday, and then I would have bypassed the slipper and gone straight to the Sires.
Okay.
But fortunately, she slipped over in the wash bay, and she just got a sort of superficial a graze basically on her knee, so she couldn't take part last Saturday. So really this was option B, but I'm happy she's ready to go. She only had one trial before she won first up last prep. She's had a jump out at home, and she's incredibly clean-winded, and I think she's got a fairly big set of lungs on her. So look, she's not fully wound up, so I'm under no illusion it's going to be very hard to race to try and win, but as long as she's hitting the line hard, we've got our sights set on those next two races.
Okay, you kick off the day, Annabel, with a couple of runners in the first. You've got Prague and Holyfield. What can we expect from them?
Yeah, both very quality horses. Prague, he's third up. He was very good in the Newmarket last start, running fourth. He's the only one to really make up good ground, sort of stand side. He's pulled up very well. So, look, I don't know whether we want to run him in a really, really wet track, but he ran second in the Sires on a heavy 8 last time in. So I don't think there's too many concerns there. And he's certainly fit, and he's drawn okay. So he's just got to try and not give him too much of a start. He can be a little bit slow into gear, but if he can put himself somewhere in the first few, I think he's a great chance. And Holyfield's another nice horse. He's resuming. He's going to be better over a little bit further, but I think he loves the wet ground, and he's quite a good fresh horse. So he's certainly an each-way chance at odds.
Where does this race fit into their program? Is there Group 1 assignments ahead for them both?
So Prague, he's going to head towards an all-aged. He possibly will run in the Arrowfield Sprint the week before. He's a horse that I think quite suits being backed up. He won the Pago last year and backed up into the slipper and ran very well. And Holyfield, he's probably going to head from here then to something like the South Pacific, over 1400, and then up to Queensland for the Guineas.
Okay, good as gold. The other runner is Seleka. Any push for that one, Annabel?
Look, she's probably a little bit outclassed on a firmer deck than what she's going to get last start. It's going to be a similar field, but she ran very well on a heavy track at Gosford. She placed in the Group 3 there over Christmas time, and she's in the last race. I'd say the track will be fairly cut up by then, and I think that's the sort of track that suits her. She seems to get through it, and I think it'll probably hinder a lot of them and hopefully aid her chances. So she's a lovely mare. She's got black type already, but it'd be great to try and knock one off. It's a pretty strong field, but we'll certainly see where we're at after this.
Excellent. Really appreciate giving us your time today, Annabel. Before we let you go, Todd Pollard, we know him well as Stephen Marsh's ex-racing manager. Has he joined you yet? And if so, what are the first impressions? No,
Todd, he's settled in very well. He had a pint of Guinness last night for St Patrick's Day, so he seems to get into the spirit of things. And no, it's great to have him on board. So he's been here a couple of weeks. I think the first time he went and saddled up was in the Newmarket for us down in Flemington. So that was pretty cool. He's come in at an exciting time for us. Obviously, we're a new growing stable. So it's great to have him on board sort of from near the start, really.